We're at the sensitivity and oversensitivity module for the course now. So you're likely to be the sort of person who's caring, sharing and very loyal, but you may also find that your emotions either get the better of you and get well out of control before you can go, actually I didn't mean to be quite that angry or quite that sad, I'm really sorry. Or it might just be that they really dwell with you and just sit as like a heavy heart. Other people will just become sort of oversensitive and might feel wired, for want of a better phrase. You know, like people, if you have like too many cups of coffee, it's like this, isn't it? Sort of starey rabbit, as I call it, and become oversensitive to things. Now that is particularly common where you have a sensitivity to electricity and to mobile phone signals and sort of the general energy around us. That's really common. Other people also have a strong sensitivity to the energy of other people. So I can explain a little bit more about why that is. And we've already covered some of the information in the chakra and aura module. So with that, you'll be getting an appreciation of the fact that we all have a cloud of energy around us, and we all have centres of energy as well. So they can get affected by other people. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. So let's start with thinking about the energy or the feel of places. Have you been to places where you just, the minute you get there, or even perhaps just thinking about it, you feel really homely? Perhaps that you've been there before, or just that they are the sort of place where you're going to enjoy yourself, you're going to relax and just be you. So most of us find that there are places like that, whether they are a specific town or village or beach or something like that, or it could be more generic, in that for me, I particularly like having my feet on the earth. In shoes will be fine, I don't mind. Barefoot's good there too. I like the squish of the mud and stuff coming through my toes. But I like to be around mountains and rocks. I love to be on or around a hill. Now I wonder whether that is because, from an astrology point of view, I'm a fire sign. So the opposite of fire would be earth. So I'd just be interested to know anybody else's experience on that, and whether you have an opposite, or whether it's just the grounding of the earth that particularly resonates with me. I'd be very interested to hear about what resonates for you, and you might want to write that down on your worksheet as well. So what sorts of places feel really good for you? Are you a people person? Do you love to be around people? Or is it something that you prefer to shy away from? Just make a note of what works for you and see if there's any commonality with the type of places. So again, I quite like the seaside, and I think that's all about the sounds of the waves. But think about what works for you. And most of us have, or should have, a sanctuary, a place that we can go to either actually physically, which could be a bedroom, it could be a cosy den, or perhaps it's just something that's in the mind. And we often use pools of water and waterfalls and warm forests to get a lot of different sensory perceptions in, even if we are thinking about it rather than feeling it directly with our skin and fingers and toes. So if you don't already have a sanctuary, you might want to consider creating one. Think about what types of sights, sounds, smells, tastes and touch that you want. If you can make one at home, especially if it can be on a permanent basis, then please do that. That would be absolutely perfect and could really help you tune into who you are and give you a place to retreat to when perhaps things haven't gone quite as well as you might have liked. So just think about what it is that you need to feel truly happy and relaxed. And then think about that in each detail and really sort of hold tight to that and form yourself an anchor to that place, to that sanctuary. So now on the opposite side of what feels good, let's think about places where you might have been that don't feel so good, and tune in to that feeling inside of when things feel that they aren't quite as good as they could be for you. So place that I've been to, which I don't know why, whether it's that particular day, I've only been once, so it may just have been that particular day. But I was with my partner, who is not as in tune with things, but has a natural appreciation of when things feel good and when things look good. So the place that we went to was a place in Gloucestershire in the UK, and it is a famous tourist spot. People go there from miles and miles around to play on the river or go to the pub. It's called Simonjiat. And that should be, you'd think, a great place of relaxation and somewhere that you can sort of enjoy yourself. But we were getting closer and feeling almost a sense of foreboding hanging over the place. We just couldn't bear to be there. And we got as far as the car park, having come down some really tiny, winkly little roads, and thought, no, we can't stay here. This is not going to be a good place for us to be. So we turned around and left and did something else with our day. So what types of places have you been to that make you feel bad or sad or angry or any of the negative emotions like that? Now, other places that are likely to have bad connotations would be anywhere that has a significant presence of ghosts. Doesn't have to be negative with ghosts and paranormal, but it can be if there's anger or guilt or shame there. And the other types of places that can be feel negative to many people are sites of old battlegrounds. They can be from hundreds or thousands of years ago. It doesn't have to be recent ones like World War I and World War II battlegrounds. It could be from any of the ones in the last few thousand years, because the land absorbs the energy. It absorbs the energy from the bloodshed and the hatred and the anger and all those emotions. So it could be that that's been there. So you might be interested to do some research to find out what's been on that site if you know places that feel particularly bad. I just want to touch back on to places that feel good. So one of those that you might have been to or might like to go to, try Glastonbury or other places of lots of spirituality. And Glastonbury has another feature, and it has some very strong ley lines, which are energy lines that run through the earth. And you can feel the higher, and I would describe it as denser vibration. It just feels like it feels like you're on a cloud of sound when you walk around there, even though you can't hear anything. It's like it's sound that you feel on the inside, or that's how I feel it. So it'd be interesting to see what you think of that one. So have a feel and have a play with what feels good for you and what feels bad for your sensitivity, and just play it out. Write down what the commonalities are, and then you can find things to avoid and things to go towards. So going back to sensitivity, then if that's affecting your sleep, then you might like to try doing a sleep diary. So write down what time you go to bed, write down what time you wake up, write down whether you felt it was quality sleep or not, and whether there were any external disruptions, perhaps animals coming and jumping on the bed, or your partner snoring, or perhaps noise in the street outside. Keep a note of all of that, but also put a note down of how you feel. Take a note of whether you were watching the news late at night, what kind of screen time you'd had. When you close that down, were you doing some kind of craft activity or anything that requires your brain, or did you have a relaxing bath? Write everything down of what happened in the previous 2 hours, if you can, before you go to bed. Anything that you can remember during the sleep time, including dreams if you have them and if you remember them. And then, how did that quality of sleep feel? And just take a note and see if you can find any commonality. Again, it seems to be the word for this particular module, doesn't it? So just write down and find out what your triggers are. It's going to be important for you to be able to rule them out and find the best way to sleep. There are all sorts of things that you can try for sleep, like lavender pillows, counting backwards. So you might like to try those tools if things aren't working out as well as you would like. If you have a Fitbit or any kind of health watch, some of those will keep a note of what your sleep is like. It will monitor your heart patterns. So you might like to have a look at that if you have one. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. The sleep diary will do just fine. And consider what the moon phase is. Consider seasonality and heat, and perhaps what your personal phase is. Are you in a stage where you are content with where things are? Are you having to deal with wounds and trauma from the past, things that are coming up for you? Are you having to think about things? So just think about what might be causing it, and then you can begin to try to rule it out. Now, screen time is a common thing that does disrupt people, as is Wi-Fi and electricity. So if you've ruled out everything else, then you might like to try keeping your phone, keeping any kind of Wi-Fi adapter well away from your bedroom and where you sleep. Get your partner to do it as well if you live with somebody. Try that and see if that helps with your sleep. So I think it probably will. So that's one of the types of sensitivity I wanted to deal with, in that it's electricity and Wi-Fi. The other one that is, as I say, very, very common is feeling peopled out when you're around people. That's really common with people who are introverts. They find that people almost suck energy out of them. It's not invigorating in particular, although people in small doses can be really, really good and is of course essential for your well-being. You do need to connect with others and you do need to go out and be with other people some of the time. But you might be able to control how often that is, who it's with and what for. So the emotions that you feel when you are with people can be overwhelming. This is particularly true for people that are described as empaths. So empaths have a strong resonance with other people's emotions. They will feel other people's emotions as though they are their own. So the emotions can feel deeper, stronger and completely overwhelming, especially if a feeling of anger or sadness or depression just completely comes at you out of nowhere when you were feeling quite good that day. And that may well be because you are taking on other people's emotions. You can learn not to do that. You will still be sensitive, but you can learn to feel less sensitivity to people, and going back to the electricity. So we'll show you how in the meditation that goes with this, with the task that goes with this particular module. We'll show you how to strengthen your auric field, how to close down your own energy centres, so that you still feel, but on a basis which is, it affects you less, so that you are still in control of how you feel and how you're dealing with your day. So do tune in for that meditation. It's a particularly strong, powerful one that's very, very useful. Will give you some great tools for the future. So empaths don't need to feel overwhelmed all the time. Go and find the video and the meditation that we have for you, and all will be revealed. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was grounding and zoning out. So to ground, you need to bring your energy from sort of feeling all fuzzy and all around you, or in your head or your heart, and bring it down to your feet. So some great ways to do that would be to take a shower or a bath, to do hand brushing. So brush it literally down your body. Feel yourself soothing, almost as though you would stroke a dog. So this can soothe us, and you can do it with just your mind if it's not appropriate to be stroking yourself. Perhaps you're in a restaurant or a busy place. So just think about the hand brushing. The activity will work even if it's done by your mind and not your hands. You can ground yourself really, really well by walking outside. Ideally in nature where you can see trees and hear birds tweeting and the like. But if you can only get to a street, then just go outside. Feel the energy running down to your feet, coming away from your head, and just feel relaxed as you go. The relaxation will increase with a bit of breathing as well. So square breathing is fantastic. So if you don't know what square breathing is where you breathe in for the count of 4, hold for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4, wait for a count of 4, and go round again. Let me show you a moment. So breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4. Keep empty lungs for 4. And breathing in for 4. If you can get to be 4 seconds and then extend that, then that works even better. We've just done counting to 4, which is almost certainly going to be quicker than the 4 seconds. But the process is the same. It's still regulating your breathing from the inside out. So that gives you a little bit of insight into how you can combat your sensitivity. There is a separate video on a task so that you can build up your auric field and you can zone out from those extra feelings of sensitivity. So please do take a look at that for your task and practice it and get good at it. And then you will feel that you are much more in control of your own feelings and emotions and able to tap into all that is you and all the good stuff that's around you, so that you can continue your journey on tuning in to tuning up. So thanks for listening. Looking forward to hearing from you with what happens on your worksheets.